Yo, what's up, everybody? Yeah, welcome to the Gamer 7 show here on 89.5 ID Power at DeltaCollegeRadio.com. Yo, I got a guest today. He's from the Game Creators Union, Richard. I'm sorry, I don't know your last name.
Ortiz.
Okay, Richard Ortiz. So yeah, this I think that's the first time I called you by your last name because I usually just call you Richard. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so anyway, here on the Gamer 7 show, it's the show again where we just talk about the latest topics and news that's happening in the gaming world. Like before the show started, we were actually talking about a couple of things. Like we actually talked on the show like a couple like last week and all. But since I just want to tell you, we were talking about like the Cliffy B, the creator of Gears of War, and the from Epic Games is leaving the company after like 20 years with the company. Like I guess to start his own label and all. And the people at Epic Games wish Cliffy B the best of luck in his future endeavors, as he wanted to go on to work on other projects. So, Richard, what did you think of that Cliffy B leaving the company after like a long time with it, 20 years or something?
Well, it makes sense. I mean, you know, I think after 20 years, you're going to want to try something different. And, it was clearly a stable job, which in the game industry is just kind of unheard of because, when you get in the game industry, I've heard that there's a lot of shuffling back and forth. Studios, they might go broke, they might get bought up by bigger companies, and so there's a lot of like, oh, you got to move, or find another job, or oh, hey guys, the studio's closing, find another job. So the fact that he was able to do it for so long is truly a testament to one, how talented he is, doing what he does, and two, the fact that his employers knew that. And so, over time, I mean, it just, you kind of yearn to try something new. And so, I'm hoping, and you said that he is planning, or kind of
That's
alluded
yeah,
to plans.
that's what he alluded to during like his when he made a statement when he announced he was leaving the company. Yeah,
Yeah, that he's gonna maybe form his own company or something
yeah,
like that, right? Yeah.
and work on other projects as
Yeah,
well.
I'd love to see that happen. I think he has a lot of good ideas, and clearly, I mean, Gears of War is one of the best-selling games like ever. So,
Yeah, and recently, they've been we also talked about some of the latest releases, the newest games that have been released this week, which would include like Dishonored and uh, XCOM Enemy Unknown, which is a turn-based like real-time strategy-like game, and it's actually I'm hearing a remake from an old '90s series. It's called XCOM. I've never played any of those games myself, but
yeah,
I've
I
done research on them though.
I had little exposure with XCOM, but I have heard of it before. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm actually excited about both of those titles as well.
yeah. So IGN actually gave Dishonored a 9.2 out of 10, so they really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's a really good score.
Yep. So Dishonored, apparently it's a game where you play as a supernatural assassin who is like framed for murder, and you gotta like and you take revenge, and that's basically the entire story of the game. And basically it's just uh, getting through the game is what's the entertaining part about it, as you can play the game in so many different ways. Like you can go kill as many people as you want, and you can even complete the game without killing a single person, which makes it even more challenging.
So, in that regard, it's a lot like Deus Ex,
Yeah,
where
yeah. They said if you like games like Deus Ex or BioShock or
BioShock,
yeah,
yeah.
or even the old stealth games like Theft and all, then yeah, you might enjoy Dishonored.
It even sounds maybe like it has a little bit of Hitman in it. Did you ever play
Yeah,
any of
yeah.
the Hitman
You know,
series?
I have actually. I played Hitman Blood Money and Hitman Contracts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it might have a little bit of Hitman too, which is another game that's coming out. The newest Hitman Absolution coming out like next month in November. So
Yeah,
yeah, look,
the things about Hitman were always, I mean, it's the name is Hitman, so clearly you're always going to have to kill. But the thing is, I actually liked the fact that oftentimes you were only supposed to kill only one person. You weren't supposed to kill everybody else. In fact, sometimes it would be mission breaking
yeah.
if you did. You had to sneak. There was a lot of
You
sneaking
could go
involved.
all out guns blazing if you wanted
You
to.
could
So
for
yeah,
some of the missions. Some of them they
yeah,
actually, they specified that you were to kill nobody else. So I actually like that when they kind of they make it harder by telling you that you can't just go in and just wipe everyone out, you know.
Yeah. Ooh. Also, I got some new news. Borderlands 2, for people who like that first-person action RPG shooting game. Which one of the people in the Game Creators Union, his name is Sean. He said he enjoys Borderlands 2.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He plays it. From what I hear, a lot. He already has two maxed out characters, and he plays with a couple other members in GCU. So it's very
Yeah.
popular in
I
the club.
I haven't played the second one yet, but I do have the first, and I think I'm like at level 50 in the first one or so.
That's pretty high.
But yeah, and Borderlands 2, Gearbox has confirmed some new like downloadable content. It's some new pirate downloadable content where you like apparently you'll be able to. It focuses on this certain character called um one-eyed pirate queen Captain Scarlet is what her name is. So and it'll be available for like $10 for download on like the Xbox Live Arcade, and it I guess adds some new missions and I guess some new weapons like all other DLCs have with the Borderlands games. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I wonder how significant the added weapons are going to be, though, given that you know most of the or in fact, as far as I can tell or have heard, every single weapon drop you get is kind of randomized. So, but if they're adding like different prefixes or different, maybe something that you might call like a legendary, like in regards to that, like a weapon that doesn't really change stats that much.
yeah.
It stays really good no matter what. It kind of has a unique branding to it. That'd be really cool.
So yeah, it also will add like new customization, so you can customize your character even more, like you could in the game, and also like the game's original four classes. It'll also include like new vehicles, new items, and new weapons and enemies and bosses as well. So it's yeah, so it'll add a ton of more content to the already to a lot of the content that it already has. So it should keep you playing even more. But they so I'm not sure when it's actually going to be released, but they just got a link for it right now.
Yeah, and the game is still pretty new, so to already confirm that there's DLC coming is just kind of a
Yeah.
bonus. People are still. I mean, I don't even have the
Yeah, a lot
game
of
yet.
games actually do that now. They confirm like DLC right when the game is just released.
Yeah, yeah. So I plan on getting the game, and it's still pretty new. So I know a lot of people jumped into it day one, and they're having a ton of fun. So I kind of want to get in on that fun, but just knowing that there's already stuff lined up is really cool.
So, ooh, if you're a fan of like the BioShock games, Irrational is actually it's gonna be teasing a new BioShock Infinite trailer, and it's gonna be coming really soon. Like they say, sometime like in this month, in like the 23rd or so. But it's gonna be a new trailer for the new BioShock game that's supposed to come out like next year, BioShock Infinite.
Yeah.
Yeah, which takes place in the sky instead of in the sea, like the previous games did.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a lot from BioShock Infinite. I played both BioShock and BioShock 2, and actually played the precursor to BioShock, which is a lot of people consider it to be System Shock 2, which
Yeah.
was made by different company. I forget, was it Looking Glass, Black Isle? I forget who did or System Shock 2. Excellent, excellent game. It's hard to play nowadays just because it's not compatible with a lot of the new OSs, and it's kind of showing its age. It's a very old game, but
Yeah.
it's a really really awesome game. I
Which is
had I had a lot of fun with BioShock 1 and BioShock 2, and so I hope they just kind of keep it going.
yeah. So also, which we like we just said, if you enjoyed Bioshock, you might enjoy Dishonor as well. So and now here's some big news that'll excite some people, especially like GTA players, people who like Grand Theft Auto. Like Game Informer is gonna have Grand Theft Auto 4 as its cover in the December issue of Game Informer's latest issue. They're gonna have the Grand Theft Auto 5 as their cover. Actually, not sorry if I said 4, but 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still playing through 4. I mean, that game, there's so much to do in that game.
Yeah.
Any sandbox game really will have a lot to do, but they were the OG.
Original kings of the sandbox is what
Oh
a lot
yeah.
of people like to call them, because since a lot of people consider like Rockstar the kings of the sandbox and genre of open world games, as since ever since Grand Theft Auto 3 was released back in 2001. So yeah, that's why I guess why a lot of people are excited to hear that Grand Theft Auto 5 should be out like sometime next year, in which Game Informer will have a cover story on it, like in December on their latest issue.
Yeah, yeah, that's really really exciting to me. They never get worse. They always get better. You know, 3, San Andreas, just on and on and on. Vice City, and then 4. So, 5 is just gonna be spectacular. I can only imagine.
Yeah, and ooh, Globe. So Globe celebrates their love for Halo. So I guess a sneaker company or something, Boots, is celebrating like the Halo, since the latest Halo 4 is coming out. So yeah, it sounds interesting for some people. I
Yeah, well, a lot of people are into having nice kicks, and if you like Halo and you like nice shoes, it's a match made in heaven.
Yeah, even the sneakers are designed to look like like the one of the characters from Halo, like green and black, the Halo colors.
Yeah, they look pretty cool.
Yeah, so the weapons of Assassin's Creed 3, so which is going to be coming out like later this month as well. So Assassin's Creed 3, oh yeah, by the way, is going to be released on October 30th, 2012, which is like one day before Halloween, I believe. And they have a trailer right here that shows off the very different weapons of that you can use in the game. I'm just I'm gonna see if I could check it out real quick.
This is the one set in the Civil War era, right?
Actually, the American Revolution.
American Revolution. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're going like a lot more modern than they have. I mean, they went from what Middle Ages, Middle East to Renaissance Europe,
Yeah.
and now they're finally here in America. So that's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
cool.
That's
Gentlemen of the King's army, heed my words.
so.
These bloody
Yeah, it looks
rebels
like
grow stronger by the day.
Weapons.
Among them, there is an assassin who shows no fear. Many a soldier has fallen to his musket. His arrows fly from shadows. His rope darts emerge from nothing. No man wields a battle axe more ferociously.
Yeah. The cool thing is it's actually kind of freeze framing on certain frames. So I see an axe,
His weapons
there's
of
a musket.
choice are a
That's really,
tomahawk and blades concealed on his arms. But he has been
the
known to
assassins
wield
in Assassin's
several
Creed always
others.
use, the tools of the time.
Many
period.
at
So,
the same time.
Yep, you'll get to use muskets
If you
apparently,
do
and
not bring
bayonet.
me his head,
the knife
and
thing
even
at the end of the
it
musket.
looks like you'll even get to use
then
like
you
still
should
use
fear
tomahawk.
for yours.
You could in like a rather
That makes sense, especially considering the Native American kind of cultural background and how it all got mixed together during the American Revolution time. So I don't know if he's supposed to be maybe part Native American or not, but it kind of looks a little tribal.
Yeah, so yeah, with that said, after that Assassin's Creed 3, we actually have to do I have to do a PSA right here, so I'll just play a little commercial break right here, and we'll be back with more news here on the Gaming 7 Show at 89.5 Radio Power, DeltaCollegeRadio.com.
There's a crisis facing us today that reaches far beyond borders or boundaries. It's our planet, and it's in trouble. Scientists estimate that climate change will increasingly alter our planet, and many of our land and water resources will be at risk. Without them, we could lose many of the natural habitats that support life on Earth. Not only will numerous plant and animal species disappear, but the quality of life, for all of us, will never be the same. What scientists haven't calculated is the power of the human will to work together to save the future of our natural world and all of its inhabitants. If you're ready to make a difference that lasts, to help protect nature and preserve life, visit the Nature Conservancy at nature.org today. That's nature.org today.
Experts predict that by the end of this century, land and water resources will become scarce. and climate change will irreversibly alter our planet. But what the experts haven't calculated is the power of the human will to come together to protect the future of our natural world. You can help make a difference that lasts by joining the Nature Conservancy. Visit nature.org today.
There's a crisis facing us today that reaches far beyond borders or boundaries. It's our planet, and it's in trouble. Scientists estimate that climate change will increasingly alter our planet, and many of our land and water resources will be at risk. Without them, we could lose many of the natural habitats that support life on Earth. Not only will numerous plant and animal species disappear, but the quality of life, for all of us, will never be the same. What scientists haven't calculated is the power of the human will to work together to save the future of our natural world and all of its inhabitants. If you're ready to make a difference that lasts, to help protect nature and preserve life, visit the Nature Conservancy at nature.org today. That's nature.org today.
Yeah, so welcome back to the Gamer 7 show here on 89.5 ID Power at DeltaCollegeRadio.com, and we also looking through the Game Informer website right here. We found some news that the developers of Bulletstorm, creators of Gears of War, Epic Games, I believe, yeah, the developers of Bulletstorm are actually developing their a new game company called the Astronauts, and it's People Can Fly is their name. Yeah, so they've actually they left the studio in August, and now they formed their own company. So congrats to them, I guess. Which they've worked with E3 for the last 6 years, and now apparently they just wanted to work on a different project. So yeah, so.
Well, they're veterans of the industry, so I'm certain they'll start churning out something tasty looking. And you said you never played Bulletstorm. I actually never played Bulletstorm, but I actually...
I did play the demo of it, but not the whole game.
Oh, you did? You played the demo. Yeah, I didn't even play the demo, but I watched a lot of gameplay, and it looked really unique. That was one where you could, like, pull people towards you and...
Toward you with a whip and kick them back into like spikes and kill them in different ways.
So the whole point of the game was really to get these massive combos,
creative kills, and get points for it.
Yeah. Really, really unique gameplay. I mean,
that's what separated from other first-person shooters games at the time.
Yeah, not the most serious first-person shooter, but sometimes it's not the best thing,
Yeah, and also, Game Informer also has on their website you can get a sneak peek at the new Splinter Cell comic book. Apparently, that's going to be coming out to coincide with the new Splinter Cell game, Splinter Cell Blacklight, which comes out like next year sometime. So Game Informer has a article on that where you can get a sneak peek at it. So just go to GameInformer.com if you want to learn more about that. And we got XCOM beginner guide. A strategy guide for the game XCOM, which by the way has gotten pretty decent reviews as well, next to Dishonored.
Yeah, the few things I have heard about the game has certainly intrigued me. Just things like you can set up actions ahead of time. I guess you can kind of like queue them up, and you can like pause, maybe change certain things about your approach or different tactics. So it looks really, really interesting.
And also, here's another piece of news. I think I talked about this like last time, but I'll talk about it again because this is just some great news and it'll excite a lot of people and even more people who haven't heard yet. The new fighting game from the creators of Mortal Kombat, the new recent one that just came out. NetherRealm Studios is their name, and for whoever's watching, they're best known for creating fighting games like the Mortal Kombat, and they're creating a new fighting game that's going to be coming out next year. That's set in like the DC Comics universe, with all the superheroes like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and all them, and it's going to be called Injustice: Gods Among Us. And they've just announced, I think a couple of days ago, that they've added some new characters to the roster. It's going to be like the new characters that they've added so far is Green Lantern and the Joker, because which brings the roster up to 12. Because now so far all the characters announced for the Injustice game have been like Batman, Superman, Flash, Wonder Woman, um, Solomon Grundy, Harley Quinn, Cyborg, Nightwing, and Cyborg, Nightwing. As I said, Green Arrow, Joker, and Green Lantern so far. So yeah, oh yeah, and Catwoman. So
I don't know why this didn't happen sooner. I mean, this is a really really cool idea. A lot of people are familiar with Marvel versus Capcom, and that's a really really fun game. But I mean, DC is I prefer DC Comics over Marvel Comics. That's just me.
yeah,
But
with Marvel vs. Capcom, which they had last year, DC now is releasing their own fighting game. It is still by the same creators who made Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, which is released in 2008, but except this won't have any Mortal Kombat characters in it. It'll only have DC Comics characters in it. And if you played that Mortal Kombat versus DC, the gameplay might be similar to that, but more advanced and still they're gonna use the same engine that they used for the last Mortal Kombat game, and except they're gonna add new features to this one as well, such as the special moves and I guess each fighter will have a different style of gameplay as well. We'll have a different type of fighting style.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
some of the characters have very unique fighting styles. I mean, Catwoman, obviously, she doesn't really, she does a lot of leaping and kind of, backflip kicks and all, that kind of stuff.
Catwoman will be more of the agile character along with Batman, with the gadget characters, and then the strong, powerful power characters like Superman. I guess Green Lantern will be considered a power character because even though he doesn't have superpowers of his own, he still has his ring, which gives him superpowers. So it'll be interesting to see how this turns out when the game's released. And they say the release date for the game is spring of 2013 next year. So yeah, we'll have to see how that turns out by then.
Yeah, the thought of kicking butt with Joker is just too good to pass up.
Yep.
And I can see him being definitely one of those gadget-based guys. Always have something.
Yeah.
Up his sleeve that he just pulls out at the last moment and just bam right in your face. Something explodes or guns or whatnot.
Also, the Walking Dead game by the point and click adventure Walking Dead games. They've just released the Walking Dead episode 4 yesterday.
4 out of 5, right?
Huh?
4 out of 5 total.
Yeah, this is the 4th episode of The Walking Dead. Yeah,
so it's almost done. I mean, and they're putting them out pretty quickly. I mean, I think 3 came out three
over the
4
summer
months
of
ago?
this year.
So, yeah,
it was the summertime when 3
it wasn't
came out.
that long ago. So they're really on pace and actually have this game. I'm still playing 1. I'm kind of taking my time because I'm hoping that all of them come out by the time I need them. So. Really, really, really good game. I can't emphasize that enough. It's just, it's kind of an on-rails experience, because it's kind of linear. They kind of push you towards a certain area, and I don't mean of the game necessarily, but your intuition, your common sense kind of dictates how you play the game, and it's not even really about that. It's not about the combat mechanics, even though that's interesting too. It's what I really like about it is the exploration and the relationships that you develop with the other survivors. So really really cool game.
And also Walking Dead. This game is based on the comic books The Walking Dead by the comic company Image, and so they IGN gave it a score of 8.25 out of 10, so which is a pretty high score for a Walking Dead for a game on their site.
Yeah,
so,
for a point and click.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some really, really good point and clicks out there.
Yeah, so they really enjoyed this one. So, and also, speaking of Walking Dead, I know this is I'm just gonna throw this out there. It's not really game related news, but it's really popular, and the TV show starts again Sunday. So.
Oh man, I can't wait.
Check that out. So 8.5. For Walking Dead from GameInformer.com.
Yeah, and if you're a little behind on the Walking Dead TV series, Don't be afraid to play the game because it's a parallel storyline. It has nothing to do with the actual TV series. The characters
Yeah.
that you know and love.
It's based more on the comic book than the TV series.
Yeah, yeah, and there's different characters you're introduced to, so it won't ruin your TV watching experience if you play the game first, which
Yeah.
was one of my concerns before I picked it up.
Yeah, so yeah, you should just check out that. And they got some box art for the Injustice game, like I said. And THQ has shut down one of its companies in Australia. Let's see what this is about. So,
Like I said, very volatile
yep,
industry.
the way the economy is, especially for the game industry these days, is pretty tough. So, got to see. So THQ has continues to trim its operations, and today it's going to let go of one of its staffs in Melbourne, Australia, in one of its offices. So,
Well, good luck to them. I hope they land on their feet.
but
Um,
yeah,
I actually just bought the THQ pack. It's like a giant game pack on
Yeah.
Steam for like $50. It was a total steal. I mean, just a really, really good value. Um, what games came in it? The Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine Warhammer. Forget the title, but a lot of you guys know what I'm talking about. It's supposed to be a really, really cool game, and I guess they branched it off. They kind of started turning it into an RTS, so can't wait to play that. And just a lot of good games, like over a dozen games.
yeah. So that does sound nice, and also, oh yeah, also gonna look at the score that Game Informer gave Dishonored out of their reviews, their most recent one, which was so. Here's Game Informer's review of Dishonored, which they call a dish best served bloody, and so their review they gave 8.75, so another high score.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty darn good. I mean, go check it out if you can.
yeah.
Some very graphic images being shown on the
An-
website.
Another thing about Dishonored, people say that the graphics look a lot better. Well, I wouldn't say. I'm not sure if it's a lot better is the right word, but it looks slightly better on the PC than they do with the Xbox 360 and the PS3, though.
Yeah,
And
well,
so,
that's typically the case now. I mean, you could argue at the beginning that when the consoles first came out that it was like neck and neck. In fact, you could argue that Xbox or PS3 looked better than PCs because not everybody could afford, a really expensive gaming rig. But
yeah, that is true.
the consoles are really showing their age now. They're old, and we're hearing all these rumors and slowly these press releases or these leaks about the new consoles coming up. So their time has almost come. The consoles we have today, they're showing their age. The graphics aren't as good, and when the new consoles come out, I mean, I'm sure we'll be floored.
Yep, and also XCOM Enemy Unknown, the turn-based strategy game from 2K Games, where players are trying to fight off against an alien invasion. It's scored from Game Informer at 9.5, which is high as well. And so yeah, I guess they're trying to renew interest in the turn-based genre, which especially in this day and age where most players from now are going to be obviously more interested in like first-person shooters and RPGs, especially if it's on a console. And yeah, so hopefully XCOM Enemy Unknown accomplishes what it's trying to accomplish and renew interest in the genre.
Yeah, and a lot will be resting on how kind of easy it is to pick up because turn-based strategy, real-time strategy, they all kind of have their own flavor. And I guess this is like it's a hybrid. You can pause it, you can change things, you can kind of let it just go, and it reminds me. The gameplay kind of reminds me of Knights of the Old Republic. If you played either one of those, KOTOR 1 or 2, where things happen and you can kind of just let them happen and control one person, or you can pause the game. You can go through your character inventories. You could set up actions, and then you can unpause it, and the actions will be played out. So it's kind of both a real time and not a real time, I guess, like more of a turn-based. Um, so that should add a lot of excitement to the gameplay.
Yeah, so actually, yeah, I agree with that, and we're actually gonna have to take another break right now. And when we come back, we'll just give out some more news and updates on the gaming industry and from different websites here on the Gamer 7 Show at 89.5 ID powered DeltaCollegeRadio.com.
Following is a public service message about the state of our national parks.
Our national parks are as beautiful as they were 100 years ago. The mountains, rees, rivers, and streams all look good as a big picture.
You may not have noticed, but several letters were missing from that message. Just like you may not have noticed that our national parks are missing the grandeur they once had because of a shortfall in federal funding. In fact, in national parks across the country, historic sites are crumbling. Commercial development threatens parkland. Even the monuments at the National Mall in Washington, D.C. are suffering without enough funds for maintenance and upkeep.
Our parks are suffering from an shortfall.
The 100th anniversary of our national parks is just around the corner. Let's restore them to their full splendor with nothing missing. Go to npca.org/radio or call 1-800-NAT-PARK. Help protect America's national park heritage for our children and grandchildren.
A message from the nonprofit National Parks Conservation Association. Now, a public service message about the state of our national parks.
Our national parks are as beautiful as they were 100 years ago. The mountains, rees, rivers, and streams.
You may not have noticed that several letters were missing from that message, or that our national parks and monuments from Yosemite to Gettysburg are missing the grandeur they once had because of a shortfall in federal funding. Go to npca.org/radio or call 1-800-NAT-PARK. Help the National Parks Conservation Association protect our national parks.
Hi, this is Amy Madigan. I'm here in one of our national parks, and I'm concerned about what I'm seeing. When you think of Yellowstone, the Grand Canyon, and Gettysburg, you think of our country's most significant landscapes and landmarks, and you remember magical moments enjoyed with family or friends. You don't think of potholes, crumbling historical sites, dusty and neglected artifacts, and dirty bathrooms. You don't think of school kids being turned away from educational programs because there are too few rangers. Yet this is the reality in too many of our national parks. For years, national parks have suffered without needed federal investment. The 100th birthday of the national parks is less than 8 years away. Our national parks need our help today. Join me and help protect our national parks and historic landmarks for our children and grandchildren. Thank you for listening.
Visit the National Parks Conservation Association website at npca.org/radio or call 1-800-NAT-PARK.
This is Sam Waterston, and I've called in because I'm concerned about what I'm seeing in our national parks. When we think about our national parks, we have images of cannons on the battlefield at Gettysburg, grizzly bears at Glacier, or the soaring face of Half Dome at Yosemite, and we remember again the visits we've made with family and friends. We don't think of potholes, crumbling historic sites, dusty and neglected artifacts, and school children being turned away from educational programs because there are too few rangers. Yet this is what's happening because our national parks don't have the federal funding they need. The 100th anniversary of our national parks is less than 8 years away. Let's return our national parks to their full splendor. Join me and help protect our national parks and historic landmarks for our children and grandchildren. Thank you for your concern.
Visit the National Parks Conservation Association website at npca.org/radio or call 1-800-NAT-PARK.
The following is a public...
Yeah, so welcome back here on to the Gamer 7 Show at 89.5 ID powered DeltaCollegeRadio.com. And during the break, we were looking at a couple of articles here on GameSpot, and one of them we found interesting for like Halo players, Halo 4. I guess they have this video called like Forge Mode. It just tells you about like the building of some certain techniques, and it demonstrates how you can like build certain maps and for like in multiplayer, like you could I guess in previous Halo games for Halo 4, which is going to be released like in November of next year.
Steel, SAS.
Yeah,
Delta,
I think it was
Ground.
last
We're the best in the world.
E3
Fighting
where
the
they
worst it has to
previewed
offer. We are
some of the
Tier
Halo
1,
4
Medal
Forge
Warfighter.
techniques
Pre-order now
that
for
they
the Zero
have.
Dark 30 map
Yeah,
pack.
they're going to show like a video about
So we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of time to design a new map here in Forge. Every time you start with a map, you want to have a general idea of the concept of what type of map you're going to try and produce. So here we're going to try and do a 4v4 space that has, you know, some interesting encounter areas, but also making sure that you don't have long lines of sight into all of the sections of the map. So we're going to basically put together some obstructions in the middle, and then we're going to build outward from that and just kind of experiment and see what works. So I'm going to start with buildings because we have a few pieces here that are just kind of some predefined areas that are large in scale and give you some separation from certain areas. So we're looking at triple room. I'm not going to use that. You can just kind of place them and delete them very quickly to run through to see what you want to do. So we'll start with this three-way tower here. We're going to drop that down in place and just kind of see what the entrances and exits are. So you can see that there's a rooftop area, there's a mid room, and there's a lower floor. This is 3-tier, so it can get complex.
Looks really cool.
If you don't, you know, intentionally try and stay away from that. But we'll use this as a little bit of a basis. I'm going to go ahead and switch on magnets with magnet snapping. This is a great way for you to just kind of be able to throw pieces together and have them oriented and snapped without having to do too much work.
You'll know how
and rotation snapping, we'll put that on 90 degrees so that whenever we place objects, we can actually just kind of reorient them fairly quickly.
You don't have to do that anymore.
So now I've got this area that goes around the outside, and I've got a large central object in the middle. So I'm going to want to basically make some pads and some unique structures that will allow me to interconnect some stuff into the upper deck. Mostly it's just that sometimes there are things that you don't anticipate that once you've mocked them up and got them in and running, that they open up new opportunities for doing certain things that you wouldn't have considered otherwise. So a lot of times it's just best to start building something and then get in and play with it and imagine what you would do in certain spaces when you're actually just actively playing it. You can plan something out on paper, but a lot of times until you have it in, you just don't know what it's going to end up like. You want to try and build the framework of the level before you start working on too many detail elements. Like, we're going to definitely need a lot more line of sight blockers. We're going to definitely need a lot of cover. But you want your path to be set up first so that you don't have to worry about moving around a lot of your cover pieces while you're building it if you change your mind on a certain concept.
Oh yeah,
and while we'd want to do, you know, filling in on the gaps and adding additional lines of sight blocker and some cover, we can get this in and test it now and see just if the generic flow works in a match.
Yeah, I think some of the other features that they added was, I think, dynamic or specular lighting. That was one of the additions. So it just makes things kind of look
the initial spawn
way
happened.
better. You know,
I picked up the saw.
kind of that mood
right over
lighting
here.
kind of feel. If you want an area
and
dark,
looks like
make
it's a
it
saw
dark
v
with
saw battle.
spotlighting here and there or whatever. The other thing is I think you can mirror objects now with the
and now you'll see he'll respawn at one of the respawn points.
If you wanted something and it's only half of what you wanted, you just kind of need to double the other side of it. You can easily do that. You don't have to get the same object out, you know, kind of spawn that in and then put them together. It'll just do it for you. So
yeah, that makes it easier.
As you can see, the big line of sight blockers prevent.
Yeah, well, the you know, like I said, very addicting. But the problem was, I mean, you can basically play the game but not play the game. You could play the Forge game because it would take so long. And, you know, when you were done, if you had this really amazing product, like, you know, everybody would want to play it, which is really cool. But, you know, if it takes you 4 hours to make a level, I mean, that's time spent that you could be better spent playing.
Yeah, exactly. And the guy explains in this video of Halo 4 Forge mode serious building techniques that you can check out for yourself. If you go to like GameSpot.com and click on the video called
Thank you for the sword.
Forge mode serious building techniques, and then he'll explain everything here. So yeah, if you're interested, just make sure you check out this video. And,
there definitely needs to be a pass done to remove a lot of the hang-ups, make sure that these points you won't strafe out of and fall out. So putting railings on the outsides, I think that, you know, in general, this stuff would need to be developed, have more pads and routes that go off of there. But at least for a 1v1 map that we're just kind of messing around in,
they're adding new things to
I think
the
it's pretty
gameplay as
successful.
well, not just the forge.
As a quick throw together map to get the concept
building block thing
in place and to just have fun with friends.
They're changing the way that you can spawn in now. Now you can actually choose to spawn on your squad, but you'll have to wait for that. So essentially, when you die, they give you an option. They say, okay, you can respawn right now, and if you do, we'll put you like in a random spot, or you can wait and then you can spawn in with your buddies. And so really, it adds a level of you know, kind of strategy that didn't exist in the other Halos. You know, if you need to get back in the action, if you guys are being pummeled, you know, if it's like a, you know, capture the flag map and they're just swarming your base, you know you have to jump back in like right away just to defend your flag. Well, you can do that now, but there's going to be the, you know, the downside is that you can spawn kind of far away from the base. Not far away, I'm assuming not that far away, but you still have to kind of run back over to where, you know, the action is. So it's a penalty for respawning early, or you can, you know, you can wait and just sit there and just hope that your teammates don't get wiped out and spawn on them. So
yeah, couldn't have said it any better myself. So yeah, so just check out the Halo 4 Forge Mode video here on GameSpot.com, and then and see for yourself exactly about the different building techniques in Halo 4 when it comes out like next month in November. So anyway, but another thing we were going to talk about, like there's this game that's being created by the creators of the Resistance games, like Resistance Fall of Man and Resistance 2, and also Resistance 3. Their new game, the game that they were working on, is this one. It wasn't going to be a PlayStation exclusive like the Resistance games were in Ratchet and Clank. It's going to be like multi-platform, so that means they're going to release it for Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC, and this will be their first game, which at first it was called Overstrike, but now they've renamed it as Fuse, and so Game Informer has the answers of why they renamed the game, which is Fuse is going to be like a co-op shooter action game developed by Insomniac, apparently, and published by EA, by the way. So as we were developing the game earlier on, we come up with this alien substance called Fuse, and more we went and started exploring what Fuse could do. So apparently some alien substance called Fuse, which is what inspired them to change the name from Overstrike to Fuse. And so yeah, and they got a trailer for the game, I think right here. So I'm not sure if it's new or not, but we're gonna check it out. So let's see.
The gameplay looks similar to it also kind of reminds me of Vanquish a little bit. Kind of, you know, feature. Oh, there's some biomechs. Is that a robot or is that something?
It looked like a mech, but I'm not sure if there was a person inside of it, but that's what it looked like. So yeah. The game is called Fuse and it's supposed to be released sometime next year, 2013.
Looks promising, and you know, I mean, the thing about titles is, you know, a game could be called literally anything, right? Gears of War could have been called anything else, you know, Patty Cake, Monster, I don't know, but and it doesn't really detract from the gameplay itself. I mean, unless they have to go back in and change certain things in the game to reflect the title change. But for the most part, it's purely a marketing thing, and it's pretty much aesthetic. I mean, it's just to try to get you more interested to play the game. So, Overstrike, I don't know. It sounds okay to me. Maybe a little generic.
Ooh.
Fuse, I'll have to wait and see to play to see if
But
it makes any sense. But
But yeah, the point is that whatever the name is, as long as has good gameplay, then we're all looking forward to it. So anyway, but in another piece of news that I just found on a game on GameSpot is, the game Painkiller, which is like a first-person shooter that was released in like 2004. Well, they're gonna be making a remake of Painkiller, and it's supposed to be released on like October 31st on Halloween, which is like a Painkiller, which is I guess a first-person shooter horror game, and it'll be a remake of the 2004 game from the same people who made Bulletstorm, and it's going to be like updated with new graphics as well. So I guess the story's going to be the same. It's just going to be like a new take on it.
Well, I don't remember that game at all, and I've played a lot of games.
I've never played it myself, but I've done so much research on different games that I haven't played before that Painkiller is actually one of them. So, but yeah, look at that. That's
looks pretty gruesome. I really like first-person shooter horror games. System Shock 2 being one of the earliest that I can remember playing, and there's just something about them. I don't know it. The first-person perspective really kind of immerses you even more into a game, particularly a horror kind of survival game. And it can. I mean, some of the scariest games that I can recall or list off just off the top of my head are first-person horror games. So definitely be looking forward to that one.
On the lookout for a Painkiller when it's released on like October 31st. And also another piece of news for like TV fans out there, one game, Fox is actually probably going to be developing a TV show based on like the Battlefield games, like the Bad Company games.
Really?
Yeah, like it'll be probably like a long-hour action comedy or something like that, according to the news here on GameSpot.
Do you know if it's live action or is it animated?
It'll most likely be live action, though. That's according to Deadline, which reports today that broadcasting company Fox is developing an hour-long action comedy based on the popular Battlefield spin-off series. So it'll have Alias producer John Innes. And so what would you think of how a TV show based on one of the Battlefield games come out like?
It could be hit. It could be hit. It could be miss. It's really hard to say at this point. The thing, I know why they picked that game, though. I mean, that game, it was so entertaining. The first person, or the single player campaign, rather, was just so entertaining to watch, and to listen to the dialogue between you and your squad mates was really, really cool. They infused each one of those characters with a lot of personality. So, if they can somehow capture that the banter that went on between them and the comedy that juxtaposed, the action, that they'd have bullets flying over their heads and they'd be cracking jokes. I mean, if they can do that, should be really, really entertaining.
Yeah, and also another piece of news, like apparently Sony is suing Kevin Butler, like for apparently I think files a lawsuit against Bridgestone and Agent Company over Butler was shown like promoting, I guess, another product or something like. Because I guess he was shown playing the Wii or something, so I guess Sony is.
Yeah, I know who that guy is. He does all the
he does all the PlayStation commercials, like all the commercials with new PlayStation games coming out. Yeah, and Sony is apparently suing him over I guess the reports that they filed a lawsuit against him because of an aid where Kevin Butler was I guess playing like promoting their opponent, like promoting like they showed him playing Mario Kart.
So he was consorting with the enemy.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
That's pretty funny. I mean, and it sounds really petty, but when you're a business and your sales rely on beating out other people, because people only have so much money. They're gonna either buy a Wii or a PlayStation or an Xbox. They're not gonna go out and buy all three. So it makes sense, and that's what happens when you sign a contract saying you're gonna do a certain thing or not do a certain thing. You get sued if you do or do not, follow through.
So yeah. So and with that, we're actually gonna have to in the show right there today, as we got to get ready to let the next person come in to get ready for their show, and yeah. So